Hello, everybody. Well, I think we were having a couple of technical difficulties there. I do apologize. That is difficulties on my behalf. So if you missed the intro there to Love Wrestling, that is completely my fault. Sorry about that. I am Bobby Money Munson, and I am flying solo here today at the Love Pro Wrestling Sunday Brunch table. So thank you. If you are joining me in the comment section, we are going to be talking about all things professional wrestling this week. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors. RK Athletics One, Rich King. He can help you get in the absolute best shape of your entire life. So head on over to RK Athletics One if you're looking to be a better version of yourself. Also, you can go and get 20% off of your order with Manscaped. Manscaped.com is helping you get to your better self as well, too. So if you want to go ahead and get 20% off your package from Manscaped, head on over and use that promo code Love Wrestling. So it is the week in professional wrestling this week, and we got a lot to unfold. It has been a bit of a crazy upside down week in professional wrestling. And if you want to join me in the chat, please do so. If you're watching along on Facebook Live, YouTube, or Twitch, thank you for taking the time to join us today. And just a quick reminder of something that we need to remind you, the fans, about. Have a look here. Yes, it will be all of our live content on Twitch TV, Love Wrestling CA, starting on March 1st. So this week, you're going to be getting all of that content on Twitch live. So head on over to Twitch and make sure to follow us over there and throw some subs while you're at it, too. We really, really do appreciate all the support here on Love Wrestling. And yes, we have got comment in the chat there. Get Manscaped. I agree with you there. Quest for Jewels. So yes, definitely get Manscaped. Show them the love and support that they deserve. They are a great sponsor of our show here on Love Wrestling. So sorry, my voice getting a little coarse already. So this is a crazy week in pro wrestling. As I was saying, I just want to mention that you wake up and you look at the news, and on the news you start seeing that Vince McMahon potentially is going to be in a professional wrestling ring again. No, not as a host, not as someone on a microphone, as a pro wrestler. Vince McMahon potentially getting in the ring against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. And what does everybody think of this? If you're joining me in the chat, let's get some comments about Pat McAfee and Vince McMahon doing a WrestleMania match. What are your thoughts on this? I'm starting to feel like WrestleMania is becoming overshadowed with returns. It feels like we've done a rewind back to the 1990s, and it's almost as if they don't want to push anybody new. It seems like all the highlights of the show are on big, massive returns, and that's great. I like returns. There's some good ones queued up. I think we've seen the tease of Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back for a match with Kevin Owens, which is something to be excited about. But Vince McMahon, have we seen what Vince McMahon looks like in recent times? Because if we have, we know for a fact that Vince McMahon, I don't really want to see this guy taking bumps or going into the ring. And at the same time, I don't want to have to see somebody like Pat McAfee, who I thought put on a brilliant match against Adam Cole in NXT and was, trained wonderfully by Rip Rogers. I don't want to see him have to go in there and subject himself to his first WrestleMania match being against Vince McMahon and trying to carry him personally. Before we carry on a little bit, I just want to go ahead and say, hello, Dare Amazing. Thank you for joining me here on Sunday Brunch. It's a lonely one at the table, I know, but I appreciate all of you following along in the chat as well, too. And yes, Pat McAfee can hold his own. C versus Adam Cole, couldn't agree with you more. Quest for Jewels, great comment. But what's Vince going to do at this age now? I feel like he's past where he can bump himself effectively. I agree with you, too. And anybody who has actually had an opportunity to step in a pro wrestling ring, whether it be on a full amount of training or whether or not they've just done a little bit of some practice bumps or anything like that, weekend camp that you could do with your local training stuff. It's hard to believe, especially at that age, that Vince McMahon, I know he's crazy enough to want to do it, but the toll it takes on your body, you got to have such an appreciation for what professional wrestlers do inside that ring. The body takes a lot of damage within those bumps and stuff like that. And you get to that point where you wonder about Vince McMahon. Is it worth the craziness? Is it worth the moment to have Vince McMahon, who I believe is well into his 80s now, actually step inside that ring. I'm certain that Pat McAfee would be able to hold his own there and probably protect Vince in a very smart way, hopefully, especially with the type of training that Pat McAfee has had. Anybody who hasn't gone and checked out what Rip Rogers has been able to do with his trainees, you really should. A lot of great professional wrestlers come from Rip Rogers training school. I don't know that I care about seeing this match in particular. This one really just doesn't jive for me. I don't think this is a match that I'm going to get too excited about when it comes to WrestleMania season. Although, if there could be a swerve in this one, I'm going to throw a swerve into the mix. They announce it as Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, but for whatever reason, along the way, Vince becomes injured or somehow finds his way out of the match, and they insert a returning Corey Graves into it. It might take a little bit of an interesting turn. Although we are getting very close to WrestleMania season, and coming from a bit of an old school of watching pro wrestling, I used to get used to these builds happening a lot sooner. And I really don't know that they have the time to flesh out something properly if they start to add in Corey Graves as a return. I just want to go ahead and say hello there, Ed, in the comments. Pat needs a particular skill level wrestler to be able to have a match that is worthwhile. But seeing Austin Theory versus Pat would be fantastic. Another great idea, actually, Ed. Thank you for that comment. And yes, let's talk about Austin Theory for a moment. I know a lot of people are concerned about his level of push, but I mean, there is a lot of talent in this kid, from his selling to knowing where to be in the ring. Just his facials and stuff that he does. Austin Theory is golden. And if they insert him into this matchup, it would make sense with how Vince McMahon's been taking a young Austin Theory under his wing. So I do believe that could be a very strong way to go. So yes, I think excellent, Ed. If they go that direction, I could see Pat McAfee and Austin Theory at WrestleMania, and that I could get invested in, definitely. And now we're going to go to another quest for our Jules. With the angle being worked on TV, it could lead to Austin Theory versus Pat. Yes, you bet, sir. Exactly. That is definitely what we want to see. I think we've solidified that for sure. So yeah, if they go that direction, I am 100% behind that. Ed coming in here. We'll find out Tuesday on Pat's radio show where this story is going. Fantastic. I actually will have to tune into that. See where it goes from there. Definitely. Thank you for the shout out. So we're going to move on from that comment to that subject, to something else here. Another big regarding WWE is somebody's contract just expired. And yes, it just expired, the contract of Cesaro, and Cesaro now a free agent. And so, yes, it is Cesaro heading where? Where is he going to go? I know a lot of people want to see him go to AEW, and that is one place he could go. I mean, the man is 41, though, and I wonder about whether or not he could get lost in the shuffle. It is very possible, but at the same time, he could make an instant impact over in AEW, and there's a lot of great talent for him to work with over there. So definitely something that we would like to see. So yes, where do you guys think Cesaro is going to end up? Let me know in the chat. Before we do that, I'm just going to pop this up here. Good morning to my Mountain Time friends. Good morning to you, Ecto Guy, Alex. I wish you were on screen with me, joining the fun today, my man. Then maybe I wouldn't have screwed up the intro to the show this morning and would have had this thing going live properly. But hey, that's what you get when you're an inexperienced producer like myself. And I appreciate everybody bearing with me and going with the flow here today. So again, I bring it back to the Cesaro thing. Personally, on a personal level, of course, I'd love to see Cesaro. He could take a crack at New Japan. Of course, I'm a big MLW guy, so I'd love to see Cesaro go over to MLW and do some work over there. I think that his style would fit with a lot of the guys over in MLW currently. I would absolutely love to see Cesaro, or Claudio, as he will be known, go on to take on. I would love to see a match against Davey Richards. I think that Davey Richards has just been phenomenal as of late. I think his work rate is incredible. He is just a great workhorse of a wrestler inside that ring, and he's been giving fantastic match after fantastic match since coming back to professional wrestling. I'm going to go ahead and say good morning to our good friend Bobby. Bobby, good to see you. Maybe I would like to see Cesaro and Chris Hero tag team at the Crockett Cup on the NWA. You know what? That would be a great time as well, too. We know that there is a history between those two guys, and that would be fantastic to see in the Crockett Cup. I believe they started announcing some of the Crockett Cup matches as well, too. I believe I saw that. Speaking of MLW, Violence is Forever is heading on over to there, and they were a team that was rocking it in the MLW just last year and doing a great job. So I'm really happy for them getting to go and have a chance to work in the NWA and maybe really turn some heads over there as well, too. So yes, Cesaro heading now on his own, heading somewhere. We'll find out soon, hopefully, where he is heading. And yes, we got more to talk about here on Sunday Brunch. Please send in your questions at any point in time. I will do my best to answer them. But before we do, I'm going to head to a bit of a video clip because we have some great content here on Love Wrestling, and we like to promote said content. And just this week, we had an excellent showing in Quizplex, and we've got a clip here for you from that show.
PCO, that's 200 points for you. That's a strong start to round 2. Green Phantom, your first of 2 questions, sir. Name 2 wrestlers who perform vocals on their very own theme song.
Well, you got Green Phantom as one.
Can I go? Can I show my piece of paper?
I will call...
R-Truth.
R-Truth is correct.
He's a rapper.
Absolutely. We would have accepted any of these answers. John Cena, Honky Tonk Man, Jeff Jarrett, Tyler Breeze, Shawn Michaels, R-Truth, Road Dogg, Max Caster of The Acclaimed, and of course, Green Phantom, because Get With The Green is available on Spotify right now.
I hope The Rock should be in there. He just talks over the song.
Most 2 important ones.
Which ones, PCO?
The Quebecers and the Rougeos.
Oh, yeah. The All-American Boys. The All-American Boys. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even realize that. I thought that was just maybe Jim Johnson at work.
I was saying, we're not the Mounties. We're handsome. We're brave. We're strong. We're not the Mounties. Because we enforce the law.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Amazing.
Some knowledge dropped.
PCO, that's amazing.
What a funny video as we come back from that. And yes, I am joined by Ed. Ed, thank you for bailing me out of the solo show here today. It is wonderful to see you on screen here, my friend.
It's good to be here. I just, we're talking about Austin Theory and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I'll pop in and see what I can do.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, we could talk about him a little bit more. I want you to take the floor on your thoughts about Austin Theory and also about if you were to get in the ring with Pat McAfee at WrestleMania.
Yeah, like when you're talking about Pat McAfee, I'm all in for another Pat McAfee match. Like he's proven that he's willing to do the work, and he's willing to get in there and have a great match. He had a great match with Adam Cole, and I think, like I said in the comment, if you can get a skill-leveled worker who can be able to get him to their level and be able to help carry the match, he can have a great match with pretty much anybody. Vince is older and doesn't know how to carry that match, I don't think. He's normally in the ring with people who carry the match for him. So I think it'd be along the lines of, even 20 years ago, would I want Vince in the ring with somebody who's completely unfamiliar with calling the match by themselves? But having a Corey Graves or having an Austin Theory could be really fun. I think Austin Theory makes the most sense because of this whole storyline that we've been doing with Vince McMahon and Austin Theory on Raw. And then Austin Theory being the one chosen to be chucked off the top of the Elimination Chamber by Brock Lesnar in Saudi. Like, it makes a whole bunch of sense that out of all of this, Austin Theory should have a match. And if it's not going to be Shane McMahon, why not Pat McAfee?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, going back to that bump off the chamber there from Elimination Chamber. You know, I was talking about bumps earlier with Vince McMahon taking them, and it just unrealistically, a man in his 80s taking bumps and the toll it takes on your body. I don't care how young Austin Theory is, that bump is taking a toll on his body in the long run, the impact from that thing. But wow, what a moment at the same time. That kid gave us an absolute moment then, you know, and of course, Brock Lesnar set it all up. But Austin Theory being willing to do that is going to cement him as a star moving forward.
And it puts faith in him from the people who are making the decisions. Like, obviously, he's in a program with Vince, so that he's already got a ton of faith in the company that he's going to be a name that we're going to be hearing about in the next 5 to 10 years because he's working with Vince. But on top of that, he's doing something for the company that the company needs. And this is a company that typically rewards coming in a pinch. Now, not always. I mean, we remember what happened to the guy that Brock Lesnar last, you know, chucked off something high for no reason at all, and that was Mustafa Ali. And we see where that's ended up. But for the most part, they take care of the guys who do those big spots that they need.
They do. Yeah, and we've seen that time and time again for sure. Speaking of spots at WrestleMania, though, not to change the complete course, you know, I know you're a big WWE guy, and that's great. We can balance this off each other. How do you feel about the stars joining WrestleMania, especially on the match category? I mean, we're inclined to see Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. How do you feel about Johnny Knoxville getting in the ring with Sami Zayn at WrestleMania?
So here's the thing. WrestleMania was built on the back of the Rock and Wrestling connection. I think as wrestling fans, we forget that WrestleMania was built on the back of celebrity involvement. The cornerstones of the event that we love, that we consider the year end of wrestling and the get ready for, and that moment that we all look forward to. Well, yeah, it should be all about the stars that have put in the work for 8 years, you know, for the whole year, and have put in the work, you know, for 10 years to get to this point. But at the same time, there's room for fun stuff, especially when you're doing a 2 4-hour shows at 4 hour. We don't know how much longer they're going to be. Hey, happy. Oh no, that's Wick Pinfalls. I was going to say, I thought that was Throwback, and I was going to say happy birthday to Throwback. But no, like, I like the idea of Johnny Knoxville. Do I want to see Johnny Knoxville in the ring? No, I'm not a Jackass guy. Do I want to see Logan Paul in the ring? No, I'm too old for the Logan Paul stuff. That being said, you know, like I'll go back to Rock and Wrestling. I mean, we had Mr. T in a tag team match with Hulk Hogan and, you know, Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful. Yeah. We had Cyndi Lauper. Like, we've constantly had celebrity involvement. We had Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow, which, by the way, was one of my favorite celebrity matches for a long time, because that match is underrated when you consider it with celebrity matches at WrestleMania.
You know what really worked with that, though, and looking back on it, is because Lawrence Taylor didn't do too much. He didn't expose the idea that he had been training and was able to figure out how to take bumps or anything like that. He didn't expose himself as a guy who went and made pro wrestling look easy. He came in, he looked like a guy who had to fight back from what a pro wrestler was and use what he knew best. And I think that's what sold that match beautifully and ended up being a lot better than what I think a lot of people remember it as.
Yeah, but I mean, when people say, like, I mean, I moderate Tom Colleyhue's Twitch channel and his YouTube channel for his shows, and this is a very big conversation with the fact that Seth Rollins has nothing on the card. Sasha Banks is still yet to be determined what she's going to do. Edge and AJ Styles are pretty much guaranteed to be wrestling, but it still hasn't been finalized. Like, you have these stars who don't have a finalized match. But we're booking Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. We're booking Logan Paul as a tag team partner for The Miz. And people are like, this is wrong. And I'm like, no, this is WrestleMania. This is what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, they want a lot of eyes on it, and that's very clear as well too. My question next would be: is Logan Paul actually going to end up being the tag team partner to the Miz at WrestleMania, or is there a curve there with a lot of the wordplay that the Miz was using on Miz TV, talking about his partner being very dashing and from a a legacy type wrestling background?
I mean, if I'm bringing back Cody Rhodes, and I'm still on the fence about whether or not I want Cody back in WWE. Cody. All right, I'm gonna go. No, I don't. Yes, I do think Logan Paul will eventually be the tag team partner. I don't think they're moving off of that. I think Logan wants to do it. I think Logan thinks he's earned it from the stuff he did with KO and Sammy before. So I think it makes sense. He fits with the Miz. Cody. I've had this idea pitched to me, and I'm not entirely unopposed to it. What about Cody versus Damian Priest?
Okay.
The American Nightmare, like literally riding into that American thing, like doing the whole American thing, American Dream, American Nightmare, and putting the U.S. title on him and having him have amazing matches for the next 6 months with Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, any of the young up-and-coming, Austin Theory, like putting over some of these younger competitors. And like, don't even have to let them win. Just have them in the ring with a guy like Cody. Because as much as we hate Cody's character on screen, in the ring, he's no slouch. He's up there with the best of the best. Yeah. The dude can go. And I think it'd be interesting to put that U.S. title on him. Like, bring him back, put the title on him, and give him 6 months to do a John Cena Open Challenge type thing. And just bring up names and have him have a great match and have Cody look great. And then see what you can get with Cody after that.
And with that kind of thing, too, does he start to play on the idea that his character is the guy that is mopping the floor with Vince's guys? He's the outsider coming in that's mopping the floor with Vince's current talent and stuff like that, and using that as his brag moving forward.
You could. I mean, imagine the internet's reaction if Cody is the one to knock Roman off his perch. Like, I don't think it's a good idea, but imagine the reaction if you knock WWE's top guy for the last 2 years with the guy who helped build your competition. And to show like there's no hard feelings. Like, that's the epitome of there's no hard feelings. You put Cody in the ring with Roman, and you put Cody over.
Yeah. I mean, that would be massive, and a lot of trust put back into Cody Rhodes after everything as well too. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought. Again, I'm not sure. I mean, let's talk about Roman for a minute anyway, though. Is he still going to be the champion moving forward after WrestleMania? I mean, it sounds like WWE has gone ahead with a title unification match between the world champion, the Universal champion. First of all, who comes out of this one? Who unifies the belts? And then after that, my follow-up question for you, Ed, what do they call it? Are they going forward as the Universal Championship, or will they revert back to the classic WWE champion?
I think Roman comes out of this. I think Brock has put in way more effort than anybody ever thought Brock would put in during this latest run. Like, this has been one of his best runs since he debuted. Like, full stop. I think this has been one of the most entertaining Brock runs. He's been there more often than not. Maybe not having matches, but at least he's there doing segments and doing something entertaining. There's nothing's been scarier than Happy Brock. Like, MMA Brock, when he was destroying everybody, was scary enough with Suplex City and everything else. But Happy Brock is another level of terrifying.
Oh, especially when you see him climbing the chamber walls there to catch Austin Theory.
Yeah.
That is incredible for a guy his size and his age even, actually.
Yeah. But I think if we're unifying the titles and they're staying unified, and I pray that this isn't the case. I pray that they figure out this is a bad idea and come back from this decision. I would literally do the whole merge thing. It is the Universal World Heavyweight Championship.
So they put it together, make up the new
Just
name.
smash it all together. The Universal Heavyweight Championship or whatever. Just
that's gonna become a very, very long segment for Paul Heyman saying about his reigning defending champions moving forward.
Oh my God, Paul.
Now, here's the other catch to this. Do they change the look of the belt, or do they continue with the current style of belt? Do they go for something way out of left field like they did the Intercontinental title when they changed that one up?
It all depends on what they want to do. If this is a long-term decision to unify the titles, if they're going to do two different titles at some point, because you can imagine that, like, people who say I want the brand split to end are people who never lived through the time periods where there was no brand split and you had one champion. Like, it's the legitimate, honest thing. People who say that haven't had to watch when you have a champion on two shows trying to compete against two different people. It's absolutely awful. But if we're going to do one title, I wouldn't mind for a short period of time. Hey, Parrish. I wouldn't mind for a short time seeing the undisputed title come back.
It's fair.
It's a beautiful belt. It gets overlooked when you talk about championship belts. But that Universal Championship during that period of time on SmackDown and Raw was a really good looking belt.
Yeah. And I mean, I've lived through the time when there was no brand split. Obviously, I grew up late 80s, 90s fan. I didn't have a problem with one champion and never have. I've always thought there's always too many titles, in my opinion. I think at least at the minimum, the world title gets unified, stays unified. Your champion can go between two shows. It gives people something to earn. And then you can still keep the U.S. Intercontinental title for the workhorse side of it. The title that can appear on the show more often. You can have those open challenges that you speak about as well, too. But I'm not necessarily for the brand split ending at the same time. I'm okay with the champion balancing shows. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
But I want to see that title appear on both. I want that to be the main thing that people want to fight for, but at the same time using the US and Intercontinental to make those divides for something else that's more brand specific.
But I mean, I like with the bouncing back and forth. Like, I just don't want to see it like Roman's in a feud with Seth Rollins on Raw, and then on Friday nights we're watching we're watching Roman Reigns be in a feud with Sami Zayn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see two different feuds on two different shows and then building to a pay-per-view where he's facing just one of them.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of got to, when you have one title and you have a definitive brand split, it makes it really awkward on whatever show's not having the title if the champion's appearing.
For sure. And I'm thinking more along the lines of the champion appears on both, being able to defend, but the feud kind of goes with one person. So if it's over on SmackDown, you've got your champion heading over there to fight their feud. Maybe they use Raw as a platform to cut a promo to say, pay-per-view this Sunday, watch as what I do on Friday night before the show to make sure that my opponent's not in the best shape of his life when he comes into the title match against me. Something along those lines. I agree with you. There has to be, keeping the brand split to a certain degree and stuff like that, and not having, two different segments running with the same champion on both shows. I think you really need that diversity for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll just handle this one real quick.
Yep.
But what happened at the MLW women's featherweight division? You know what, Bobby? I have no idea. And you know what? They just did the super fight yesterday. I don't know any results, so if anyone knows, please don't say. And I don't know that there was ever a featherweight match up there, too, so I'm a little disappointed. I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully, they'll get that corrected very soon. So, yes, as soon as I know, you can catch me here on Sunday. I'll let you know as well, too. And, so continue on. Ed, we were talking a little bit earlier in the show about Cesaro, and I know you've been able to witness many Cesaro matchups. What do you think happened? What did WWE fail when it came to Cesaro, and where do you think he might land?
I mean, WWE failed in a multitude of different ways with Cesaro. And I don't say failure as in like they did something wrong. I say failure as in like they failed to capitalize on the talent that they had. They pushed Cesaro. They gave Cesaro television time. They gave Cesaro opportunities to be a star. They didn't give him the opportunities that the fans think he deserved. They didn't give him the opportunities I wanted to see for him. Last night I was having a chat with Astrid. We were, after Bowling Off Stream and whatnot went off the air, we were talking in the middle of the night, and we watched a clip from Mick Foley talking about Cesaro and his thoughts on it, and how, you know, unhappy he was that we never saw Cesaro as a world champion, and how, you know, how could you make that mistake? My thing is not every wrestler needs to be a world champion. We have people like Mr. Perfect, who are considered some of the best in the business, who never held the world title. I don't even know if Mr. Perfect ever challenged for the world championship. Like, again, I could be wrong. I'm sure he might have on a house show or whatnot, but I can't remember a huge feud where Mr. Perfect challenged for the world championship.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was during Brett's run when he did the open challenge for the WWF Championship on Saturdays.
There you go. That might be it. Like I said, but I can't remember like a definitive program, like leading to a big match or a big show. But like Mr. Perfect, it feels like it's a notch missing on his resume, but it doesn't hurt the man.
No.
And I feel like with the same thing with Cesaro, it's like Cesaro could have been a world champion. Of course, he's the most talented dude in the world. Of course, he can be a world champion and probably should be. Hello, putting you over. But I totally think that if Vince didn't see something in him for whatever reason, and that's Vince's problem. There's a lot of guys who the fans want that Vince just happens to miss and not see. And at the end of the day, the dude is going to be ultra talented and respected wherever he goes. I hope he ends up in Impact. I hope he ends up in New Japan. I want to see him reunite with Chris Hero and reunite the Kings of Wrestling. I want to see 10,000 things from Cesaro. I want to see a picture of him, Breeze, and Cole all waving to Xavier Woods. But I don't want fans to think that WWE did him a complete disservice, because when he walked in, he was doing, I'm a 5-language guy. Mighty Joe, pleasure to see you, my friend. He was doing the 5-language gimmick with Oksana. At the end of his run, he was working with younger talent and getting them over after having a world championship feud with Roman Reigns. A believable world championship feud with Roman Reigns, coming off the back of a Roman Reigns feud with Daniel Bryan. And I don't want people to forget that this dude had all of the opportunities in the world, except those top tier opportunities that not everybody gets to have.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think maybe where they might have missed the opportunity is definitely he's an upper mid-card guy. He would have been great as an Intercontinental champion. He could have held that, especially when he had the Cesaro section going. I believe that the Intercontinental title would have been a wonderful chance to put that on him and have him have a great successful run. I mean, you talk about the great Intercontinental champions of all time, and Mr. Perfect lands right into that conversation. And again, you don't always have to make everybody a world champion. I think we've had a few comments as well come up. Well, too, people think that not everybody deserves one. Right here from Hab Guy. If everybody got a world title the fans thought deserved one, there would be way too many reigns with too many or too few successful title defenses. And you know what? I agree. I think that the best part about the WWE recently, especially on the Universal title side, is they have turned Roman into an absolute legendary champion. I mean, they said it just recently at the Elimination Chamber. He lands as number 6 of longest reigns in WWE's history now, along the lines of Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan. I mean, we're talking some of the absolute biggest names that the company has ever produced, and now Roman Reigns is right up there with them. We got a comment from Mighty Joe here. People need to remember that not everyone can be at the top. Otherwise, if everyone was at the top, it would lose all meaning. And yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree with you more, Joe. And that's exactly why we've got the main eventers. You got your upper mid-carders, you got your mid-carders, and you got your show starters. You also, I got to say, I applaud the guys out there, guys and girls that are out there working their butts off and are doing the jobs to everybody. They're out there as known as the the enhancement talents and stuff like that. And they do wonderful work as well, too, to make sure that the stars get over. And it's a wonderful thing to see. Ed, changing gears here just for a moment, something that I want to talk about. I know that, you and I don't watch a whole lot of AEW Dynamite, but I'm sure you've heard about MJF's promo from this week. It's had to have come up in conversation once or twice. And I think we best talk about it a little bit here. Did you get a chance to at least check out this promo from MJF?
I honestly haven't. I've heard all about it. I've heard that it's one of his better promos of all time, but that doesn't surprise. Here's the thing. An MJF promo that's really great doesn't surprise me. You want to know why? Because that's what he's really, really, really good at. This dude knows how to talk. He's in already at his age. He is in the category as some of the best people on the mic ever.
Yes.
Like ever. And he's still got 20 years to develop talent doing it. This guy's the future of the business. He has everything you need.
Yeah.
He stays in character 24/7, but will promote your product just by being a dickhead. He has the ability to talk to anybody and wrestle anyone and make you give a damn about the match that they're in. It doesn't matter that he's going against Eddie Kingston. It doesn't matter if he's going against CM Punk. It doesn't matter if he's going against Wardlow, who may or may not be able to cut a promo. We don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter who he's working against. This guy could cut a promo on a broomstick and make fans want to see the broomstick versus MJF.
And I mean, you're 100% correct. MGF's been doing things like this for quite some time now, too. I mean, he did some wonderful work over in MLW where he, that's really where he got his big, start before heading on over to AEW. So I always knew there was that potential as well, too. And yeah, he maintains the heel persona even when he's off camera. It's a rare quality. Yes, Joe, 100%. He always does that. But there was a babyface element to this one as well, too. And it did still have hints of being a heel. It didn't completely destroy him at the same time. So, I loved it. It was a good promo. And yeah, I can't say much more than that. But before, we're going to be joined by another friend of ours here, Ed, at the table. So we're going to bring him in right away. But before we do, let's go give a shout out to our sponsors. We got a video here of Zach talking about Manscaped.
Hi friends, Zach from lovewrestling.ca here, and I'm here with a package generously given to us from our new friends at manscaped.com. I just thought I'd take the time to unbox and share the contents with you here today. The first thing I want to say is I really appreciate the discretion of this packaging. I need more secrets with my postman, not less. Okay, so first thing I got here is a t-shirt. Your balls will thank you. You mean that figuratively, right? Like they're not going to, become sentient and make decisions for me. They already make enough decisions for me. When I was unpackaging it, I really appreciated the discretion here, but I also I admire the confidence and the boldness on the very back of this t-shirt. I have been excited about this for days. Get the big packaging out of the way. Big package. Holy cow. I did not expect this. This is impressive. Most lowly with the blade side up. Always use with care. I think I can do that. 4.0 will help reduce nicks, folks, but you gotta use it properly. There's a pull thing. There's a pull tab underneath. Jeez, this box never ends. It's like a little adventure. Got some crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant. Very refreshing. Very nice, pleasant odor. It's not like perfumey. It's just like, it's just very fresh. I like that. And then we got the crop reviver. Sorry about the glare. That's awful. So I got the preserver and the revivers. If I forget to use the preserver, then I got the reviver to help me. I've played RPGs. And lastly, the main event. There it is, the Lawnmower 4.0. Very nice, very light. It says I'm supposed to charge it first, but I'm wondering. Oh yeah, there we go. Can hear that baby purr. Oh, it's got a little light too. How handy is that? Well, friends, This is a very nice product. If you want to get your hand on the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped, just head over to manscaped.com, and I'm even going to do you one better. Just enter our promo code LOVEWRESTLING. You're going to get 20% off, and you're going to get free shipping. How good is that? And thank you once again to manscaped.com for this very generous Lawnmower 4.0 and accessories and t-shirts. My name is Zach Ralph. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, that was our good friend Zach there. And talking about Manscaped, you can get 20% off using the promo code Love Wrestling. And we have a new friend joining us at the table here, Ed. Looks like putting you over, gone from the comment section into the table here. Good to have you on Sunday Brunch here, man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
you're good.
Loud and clear. You got the floor.
Spectacular. No, I've been trying to get on this Sunday Brunch for a while. It doesn't quite fit my narrative with my kids and family and whatnot, but I was able to manipulate the system and send them out to do their Sunday chores. And I was like, let's do it. Let's jump on. And I saw Bobby all by himself, and then Ed Fries comes on and I'm a new friend, old friend, buddy, but that's okay. Fun. I want to give a shout out to the great Manscaped commercial. That flashlight is actually very useful when you need to get to those southern nether regions. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
Certainly it is. So we've been talking all about WWE. We've been talking about the MJF promo. What do you got for us? What's on your mind?
Well, let me see. I'll try to fit right in. Try to jump right in. Last week was definitely the week of promos. You had Kingston, Jericho, you had Edges, you had Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa on Friday. Everybody's talking MJF, CM Punk. I don't believe a word MJF says. I know it was passionate. It was from the heart. I know he probably got bullied like most of us did as wrestling fans. But two comments about his promo that stick with me. One, he keeps saying, I will never quit. I will never quit. You can do this and that to me in this dog collar match. I'm not going to quit like you, Punk. To that, MJF, it doesn't matter if you quit. You just got to be pinned 1, 2, 3. And then the second comment on that is MJF quit on his football team. So go tell that promo to those teammates.
Yeah, exactly. But, he does deliver quite well. It is hard to know whether or not to believe what he's saying or whether
I don't believe a word he says. Ever.
But even CM Punk was a little confused at the end. He wasn't too sure when he came to confront MJF. So I guess we'll find out as Revolution unfolds whether or not MJF meant some of the words that were in that promo in particular. And a good shout out to Everything Pro Wrestling. How are you doing on this Sunday? Thank you for joining us on the brunch table as well, too. So
before we go any further, I just want to ask, because I saw it pop up on my feed and I wasn't able to catch it earlier. Standing Streamer, how was your interview this morning? I can see behind you had a nice little reminder there for yourself.
Yeah, that's actually I wrote that on Thursday just because I was into it. But yeah, so we actually went live today at 11:30, which we don't normally do. We usually go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 from 9 to 11. But we had a chance to speak to the essential character EC3 today. Nice. I believe probably on his layover because he was traveling from the Pro Wrestling Magic show, which was last night. But it didn't things didn't come to fruition. It didn't fit in his narrative at the moment in time. Oh. So we just kind of broke down a lot of wrestling and hung out, me and Vanessa and some others, some Spuddy. Shout out to Spunny in Canada. Shout out to Violent Miles Blackwell from CCW. We kind of did that, and we'll see where it goes from here. It was a chance to take an opportunity, and I was willing to do that. So when I ended that, I was like, oh, gosh, the brunch is on. I've already kicked my family out. Let me see if I can sneak in here and talk a little more wrestling.
Well, we're glad to have you here. It's always great to bounce things off of other people. You obviously caught earlier on in the show. Anything you want to talk about when we're discussing about WWE WrestleMania season, anything of the sort?
Just the Cesaro stuff, because I talked about it earlier as well. I think it's best for both worlds. His contract ran out. and both sides sat down at a table. They put forth in front of each other what they had to offer or wanted, and it didn't click with either company. We don't know what didn't click. We didn't know if it didn't click with the WWE or it didn't click with Cesaro, but that really doesn't matter. Cesaro said, "Okay, I'm not signing." They've already done what they could with him, and the fact that a lot of people are saying like he was underutilized, like go look at his resume. Like he did fairly well. Was he world champion? No, but neither was Piper. Neither was Owen, although he did win the title once at a house show. Neither was Perfect. Neither was a lot of people. He didn't need it. And I just think that the time is right, and not everybody works. And it's like a sports athlete, not an MVP on one team is not an MVP on another team. And that's just the way it is. And not everybody can shine. I don't feel bad for either company or for either the company or the person.
At least he got to leave on his own terms, having done a bunch of stuff that he got to do.
Correct. Yes. I agree.
mean, he can feel fulfilled in knowing that he had programs that he wanted. He met people and got to work with people like Tyson Kidd and Natalia, and that friendship and family camaraderie that you could see in Natalia's post after he got after the decision was made, and the fact that he got to do what Moxley did, to be able to say, "Look, I'm okay. I'm not going to resign. I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to have an okay split." They didn't have a huge fight. Nobody got fired. There's no 90 days. He can show up on Tuesday. He can show up on Wednesday. He can show up Thursday night at Impact if he wants to, if they're taping. Like, he can show up wherever he wants on any program as soon as he's ready. And he gets to, as it says right behind Standing Streamer, he gets to control his narrative.
He sure does. And who knows, maybe he will join in, control his narrative. And speaking of controlling some narrative, let's bring in another friend to the show.
Oh, boy.
Mighty Joe.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Mighty One, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I figured I was watching. I'm kind of not doing anything. I thought I'd hop on with you guys.
Yeah, why not, right? Break that forbidden door down.
That's right. Come on.
Bring in all the Bobby. Look at this. You started the show with nobody, and now you got all the friends coming in.
Yeah, everyone's joining the table. They're all in the chat. I mean, this is wonderful time here on Sunday, you guys.
Right.
We got a question here regarding the Cesaro topic. Maybe Joe could take on this. Do you see Cesaro in the G1 and NJPW G1 this year?
It's not. I wouldn't say that there's zero chance of it happening. I do see him being involved with Ring of Honor, because I mean, Claudio, was instrumental in those early days of Ring of Honor, so I could totally see him go there. And then from there, he could definitely work with New Japan with that relationship between those two companies. And I mean, of course, the NWA would also be a potential there as well. So I mean, Claudio, Cesaro, whatever you want to call him, dude's gonna excel. He's gonna do well no matter where he goes.
Yeah, for sure. And Standing Streamer, your thoughts on the G1 and Cesaro?
On a Cesaro and G1, I think we got a lot of non-New Japan wrestlers wanting to jump in that. Mike Bennett just tweeted something out about it. Cesaro obviously would fit well. I know Bryan Danielson would fit well. But the more we talk about Cesaro, I keep thinking about there is like a Ring of Honor faction right now over in Impact. Raising chaos. We have the April 1st Ring of Honor show coming back. And we have some Hall of Famers. Like Cesaro's a Ring of Honor Hall of Famer in my book, whether they induct him or not. And there's some guy named Joe out there as well, I think, who's free to do whatever he wants. That's a hell of an angle to throw those guys into.
It's happening on August 1st, so it's April Fool's Day. So as a company, you should be going hog wild with rumors and speculation and get everybody talking, right? So
as long as they're not signed, they should be in a promo package being like, you never know who might show up and show all the stars.
Right.
Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, but I loved Cody's Ring of Honor run. I thought that was a fantastic run with Cody in there, with the actual Ring of Honor and everything else, and his work with Taven.
What I think that you do, I actually mentioned this on Turnbuckle Talk with Carl, because I was on with him this week as well, is, you have him show up during that that Hall of Fame presentation, especially if Punk is on the stage, and just be like walk in and just go, well, I know you from somewhere. Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's interesting stuff.
Yep. And it gets us all talking, which is a good thing, right? So
right around Mania season, isn't it great when all of this wrestling talk pops up always right at the end of February, beginning of March?
Yep.
It's right in front of our faces.
Speaking of Mania season, guys, WrestleFest coming up in Dallas around WrestleMania as well, too. Has anybody been tuned into what's going on with that? Any of the videos that have been kind of leaked where it seems like we could end up seeing an appearance from Wyndham Rotunda? It seems like the gentleman behind Control Your Narrative, Adam Shearer and EC3 have both been mentioned in recent videos dealing around Wyndham Rotunda, and Adam Shearer has been very vocal about calling him out as of late.
For sure. I mean, I have a question right here on my whiteboard that I was going to ask the essential character himself. I know they got 2 shows. They got one this weekend, March 5th in Orlando, and then which was just sort of added. And then they got this TV deal. And then the Dallas show on March 31st, a TV taping. So my question was going to be like, how do they look for talent? I know Sister Abigail's brother, Wyndham, you know, at the Awakening, maybe you let him in. Maybe it can begin again. I was looking for something from him. I could see it. Why not?
Yeah. And I mean, the videos have been very cryptic, very interesting. I mean, outside of those 2 guys, we also know that Killer Cross has been named in the recent videos from Wyndham Rotunda, and also his brother Taylor Rotunda was involved in one of them as well, too. So could be some very interesting names popping up here around WrestleMania weekend, and a lot of excitement that we could be talking about for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff.
It really is. And speaking of interesting stuff, guys, before we get to the end of the show here, we got to go over the Love Wrestling calendar for the week. Whoa. So tomorrow night, we've got Love Pro Wrestling Don't Want to Grow Up. A championship match is going to be announced, so tune in for that. Tuesday, we got Turnbuckle Talk. We've got Power Out, and we've got NXT. Wednesday, we've got an all-elite sidecast with Pluggo, Astrid, and JPJ, mind you, watching Dynamite Live. And Thursday, as always, Between Two Beards are going to be bringing you the flagship program as they blow the budget once again this week. Gentlemen, is there any other topics that you want to bring up here on the show tonight?
Gosh, I got nothing.
It's been a fun week in wrestling. I mean, as an NXT person, man, NXT has turned up the thirsty on NXT, and it's an interesting watch. I'm not sure. I enjoy it because I think it's funny to watch the internet explode, but like it's just crazy, man. It's crazy to watch wrestling nowadays.
I have one to throw out there. Now, keep in mind, I missed part of the show, so I'm hoping you guys didn't already talk about this, but I'll throw it out there anyways. Because I did another thing that I talked with Carl on Turnbuckle Talk this week. Undertaker at the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Do you guys? My hope, and I really feel like it should just be about him.
Mm-hmm.
And you have everybody that you could possibly get a hold of that he's had a match with or had any interactions with, and you have it just be like everybody giving their little piece about him and whatnot, and just make it about Undertaker. Because I think if you include any other induction, it doesn't serve it justice.
It really doesn't, but you know it's coming. They're guaranteed to be putting others in there. They're still going to go with the Warrior Award and all these other kind of things. I completely agree with you. I'd love to see an entire Hall of Fame built around The Undertaker, because the only time in history it's ever been done in that fashion was when they first started the Hall of Fame and inducted Andre the Giant as the first and only inductee into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd also be interested to see what they do, because they're taping it. They're doing it right after SmackDown this year, on that Friday night in that same arena. That, you know, when you buy a ticket for one, you get a ticket for both. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe, you know, just Taker, or maybe you do the lineage of Taker and you do all of Taker's inductions in one. So instead of making it just about Taker, it's you do the Undertaker induction. You introduce the, you know, him and Kane together. You interrupt, you know, if we're still doing matches, Maybe the match between him and Shawn, the two matches that they had at Mania, maybe those go in. Maybe you induct the Streak as its own entity into the Hall of Fame.
I definitely think that, like as he's leaving or even coming in, that like even if it's just all of his WrestleMania opponents, like along the ramp, and you just have them all kind of greeting him or high fiving him or however they want to go about it. Like you just it has to be just about him. Otherwise, if there's one guy in this WWE Hall of Fame that deserves this, it is The Undertaker. He is universally loved by every fan, every talent, every promoter, everybody. There's literally not a bad word to say about the man. He deserves his own night,
and I think that
earned
night.
it.
I agree, and I think that night will be Friday night after SmackDown, and that night will be entirely for The Undertaker, and it's well deserved. That doesn't mean on a different night they can do more inductions, and it would be on a separate show. But Friday night after SmackDown would be solely for Taker. If they want to induct people alongside him, knowing they're going to be overshadowed, to me, this seems like the year the WWE would use that to put China in, knowing that it would get overshadowed.
That'd be tough. That'd be a tough one. Right.
It's interesting thought and something that they might actually do too. So we'll have to see what comes up for them. But yes, a whole Undertaker one would be absolutely perfect. I think we couldn't ask for something better at the Hall of Fame, and I would tune in for the old 6-7 hours of Hall of Fame that they choose to do for the Undertaker right there. I don't mind making that kind of commitment to a man who gave me that many years of entertainment inside the professional wrestling ring.
My thing is unless you're filling it with that many video packages and interviews and other people talking about Taker, this dude's not going to get up there and spend, 20-30 minutes talking about himself. Like, no. If there's one thing we've learned about him, it's that he's not going to want to get up there and talk about himself for 20-30 minutes.
What if it's a work? What if Friday night's a work? Taker comes out, someone interrupts it.
Oh my God!
Another match.
Kevin Owens interrupts it.
Or
Taker versus KO at Mania.
If you had the Mr. T moment, like if Taker goes a little too long, you just have Kane backstage. You'd be like, right, we got to give you the hook, buddy. It's time to go. You're going too long. It's enough of thanking your mama. It's time to go.
Yeah, Mayor Glenn Jacobs.
Was that not like one of the most epic, hilarious Hall of Fame moments ever? When T went too long, and then that music drops, and the best part of that too was that they panned over to Piper in the crowd, and Piper's just like, it was great.
Classic. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to bring an end to the show here today. But before we do, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors, and then we're going to go to each one of you so that everybody can know where to find you guys here. First of all, as always, our good friends at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use the promo code Love Wrestling to get 20% off your package. And also to our good friend Rich King, RK Athletics 1. If you want to be a best version of yourself, reach out to Rich and he can teach you all about healthy eating, about working out just right, so you can be 100% the best you.
And remember, guys, you can catch him on Smart and Friends. It just aired on Friday.
Awesome. That is a great shout out, Ed. Thank you very much. And yeah, everybody tune into that. From there, where can we find you? Ed, where can we find you this week?
You can find me right here, Ed Fries 12584 on Twitter. You can catch me, Astrid, and Cody this week talking about all the things that happen on NXT. Coming out of the start of the Women's Dusty Classic, talking about Nikita Lyons, which was the story the internet just didn't want to let go of this week. That definitely took up a bit of our time last week. It'll probably take up some more of our time this week if she's on there. You can also catch me moderating on the Tom Collihue Twitch and YouTube channels at twitch.tv/Tom Collihue as we get into WrestleMania season.
Perfect. Mighty Joe, where can we find you?
You can find me very rarely here on Love Wrestling. So enjoy me while you have me, because I'm not around here all that often. But when I am here, and it's a pleasure to talk to Bobby, to Ed, to Standing Streamer, everybody. I'm not here that often, but when I am here, I like having a good time with you guys. So it's always a pleasure, and thanks for having me, even though I'm kind of a special attraction.
Oh,
Once in
no,
a
we
while.
love having you on here every time, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Standing Streamer, where can people find you?
Like Brock and Taker, we are special attractions. That's all right. That's okay. It's all good. And I appreciate you guys for letting me come in last minute. It was great stuff. Shout out to Love Wrestling and everything they got going on. You can find me at twitch.tv/putting you over every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 11 p. Breaking down wrestling in guests and all that fun jazz. Yeah, that's really all I got.
All right. And you can find myself, Bobby Munson, part of the Ring Respect radio show with Papa Spokes. We got a new episode that should be going out later tonight. It was a fun one where we're talking about all things MLW. And also, I got a bit of an exclusive announcement that hasn't been announced online for any of my friends in Saskatchewan or anyone who wants to travel to Saskatchewan. Prairie Pro Wrestling. We have a new show to announce. It's coming up on March the 26th, the night after the Love Pro Wrestling Don't Want to Grow Up show. So in Saskatoon that night, we are doing the 7 pounds of gold. Our title tournament continues. So we hope that you could join us March 26th for some live pro wrestling action. And as always, you can catch me here every Sunday on my legendary run here on Sunday Brunch. Looking forward to seeing you guys next Sunday. Thanks for joining in.